I really think that everybody should watch this video because I believe that there are still some really good people out there. I don't say good just to say good. I mean, some people that are real and they're genuine about their actions and they're just all around good people. Now, I think about a lot of stuff in my head constantly, nonstop, and I don't ever say anything about it. I keep it all to myself. I don't tell anybody. It's just some things I understand the way my brain works, and most of the time, people do not understand the way that I'm coming across and how I think, how my brain works. There are just some people out there that just don't understand it. Not saying everybody doesn't, but for the majority, people just don't understand how I work. Um, and with that being said, uh, there's just a lot of things that I just don't even say, I don't bring up. Um, and it's just that's just the way that I am. So, with that being said, there are some things that um, I just don't agree with. There's nothing wrong with anybody else or anything, or I don't feel bad towards anybody, but there are just some things that people will say or do that I just don't agree with. And one of those big things, it's not really big, but it is kind of a little bit bigger, but that I've seen happen more and more often is that people being, I guess, more or less entitled. I've never been that type of person to just expect things just because. I've seen it happen to other people, and I'm glad for them. And I've seen things happen that shouldn't happen to other people, um, just based on the context of what I know of what happened. I'm just not one of those people that are going. I'm not gonna push somebody or a company just to give me stuff, just to give me stuff, just because I can do X, Y, Z. It's not how I operate. It's not anything negative towards anybody. It's just I just don't think that way. Um, More or less, I think that everything is earned, um, and I don't know. It's kind of I want to kind of blame it on where I'm at, like where I live. I still live in a small town, and that mindset is still a small town mindset. I work in a small town, so I'm around a lot of people that are kind of the same way. Um, we just don't have big egos. I don't try to push myself out there as much as other people do, and that may be a part of it. But it's just how I am. So if I ever come across a certain way, it's just I'm not trying to be negative or treat you bad or say something bad about you. It's just how my brain works and how I think and how I come across. But I've never been that type of person that just expects something just because I can do something. And that question's been brought up to me more than once over the past few years. Um, and I'm not that type of person. I'm just not. I don't know how else I can explain it. I'm really low key about about just my life in general. I might post pictures here and there of what I'm doing. If you don't know, I paint full time. I do custom stuff at home, and there's just certain things that I do because that's just that's how we are around here. It's just It's just the way it is. So, like, I don't know how else to explain it to you, but it's just a really laid back kind of mindset. Obviously, I want to do bigger and do better every time, or do bigger and better things. But I'll never be the one to like push somebody just because I am, seen as somebody that you might look. It's just, I don't know how to else to explain it, but I will never push a company or a person to give me stuff just because I can do what I do, right? I started doing this stuff, and when I mean stuff, I mean custom painting and painting in general. I was really, really young. I didn't even have my driver's license yet. I first started airbrushing. That was the first thing I got into because I saw all the cool paint jobs, and I wanted to do that. And then I got into painting around like 16 years old. So before I had my driver's license, before all that, I was airbrushing. I was getting into paint. So I was just dabbling in a lot of stuff. And then when I hit 16, I was able to get around. I was able to make friends with people. And I loved cars so much, I was willing to do whatever it took to be a small piece of the community or the industry, or whatever you want to call it. But being around custom cars, I loved it so much, I was willing to do whatever it took when I was that young, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, whatever, however old I was at the time. I believe I was before 16 because it was before I had my driver's license. I was really getting into it, researching, trying to get my hands on anything and everything that I could just to be able to paint something cool, just to be a part of it. And, when I was able to get around, I was able to make friends, make connections with people. People knew that I wanted to become this painter. Like, I mean, you can call it custom painting, you can call it whatever you want, but to me, I wasn't fully a painter yet. I was still in the learning stages. I was still dabbling here and there, trying to find my own way. And it took me a while to kind of screw up and figure things out. And at that age, I was really fortunate enough to be around some people, some good buddies I was able to make friends with, that I'm still friends with today. So if you ever have one of those old pictures of your cars I painted for you, post it in the comments. It'd be cool to really go back and see some of that stuff, because a lot of stuff I don't have. But I was able to, be really good buddies with people enough to where they were allowing me to, touch their cars. And I thought it was just like the coolest thing, because like I said, I was trying to just make a footprint, a small footprint in this industry of custom car culture. And that was my kind of my way into it. I did anything and everything I could. And I pretty much did it for free. I don't think I got paid for anything I did back then. And I painted so many things, so many cars. Like, I'm not just talking like small stuff. I'm talking like full-size cars, like overalls. Not many ones that were like color changed or anything like that, but we added a ton of graphics and stuff, a ton of different colors, two-tone cars. I did do graphics and airbrush work on a lot of stuff as well. So that was like my way in to get into what I am doing now. Was that time frame back there was just hustling and just trying to get better at everything, every job I took back then, and it molded me into what I am today, as far as like just everything that I know, because you know, back, you got to understand, like back then, the internet wasn't big. It was very, very small. We were just doing stuff, making things up, sitting back and being like, oh, that's cool. Let's try to do that. Or, just whatever it was. And I was, obviously more on the paint side than anything else, but customizing cars, like I had buddies that were doing just some crazy stuff to their cars. Like some guys had new cars at the time back then, and they were doing some really, really cool stuff that just nobody would have done to a brand new car. And then be able to paint, their work essentially, and then take it to shows and show it off. Obviously, it wasn't my best work. It's like I said, it took me a few years to actually learn how products worked. But I was really fortunate enough to have those people around that just trusted me. Because like I said, you got to understand, like back then, information was hard to get. So I was pretty much doing everything for free. I don't think I got paid anything, even though I think sometimes I did ask for, a little bit here and there, because I spent so much time on some of the stuff, and a lot of things I did screw up. I screwed up and had to redo it. So I was spending a lot of time on stuff, but I really don't think I got paid anything. So with that situation, I wasn't the one buying the products. Airbrush paint I bought, but that was so little, I don't think it really even mattered. Because airbrush bottles, they go a long way, so I was able to buy a little bit here and there and get by with it. But customers were essentially bringing me whatever they could afford. You gotta understand, like we were in high school at the time, and we all had minimum wage jobs. Some of us were making pretty good money because some of them were older, out of high school, out of college, but everybody was just buying stuff that they could afford. So that's when I learned what was good and what was not really that good as far as paint. You named it, I sprayed it. And that's, when I come across sometimes, I'm like, that stuff's crap, or that stuff's this, or that stuff's that. Like, it's because I've handled it, I've had to use it, and it's not that great. Most of the time, 90% of stuff in life in general, if it's cheap for a reason, right? Not everything that's cheap is bad, essentially, but most of the stuff is junk. It's cheap for a reason. It's made a certain way. So I got to deal with all that, and the struggles and the stress and just the frustration that I went through. This is the time, I give myself a good 5 years in that area of just figuring it out, and I would do anything I could just to figure it out. So I spent a lot of time with different things. I wasn't always spraying the same product, but I did spray a lot of the stuff that was really, really cheap, and I hated it. It is what it is. It was a good learning experience. So if you're in that area right now where you're starting out, and there's a lot of people on the internet now making videos over in their garages or outside in a tent spraying stuff, and sometimes I want to just get on there and be like, oh, don't, kind of not bash them, but kind of tell them don't do that. But I always pull myself back a little bit and be like, I was there at that one point in time in my life that I was just wanting to spray. I didn't care what it was. I didn't care what it was as far as the materials go, or the car that it was, or the color, or what what my buddy actually wanted on it. I was just happy enough to be spraying. That's how motivated and determined I was to be a small footprint in this culture. And like I said, it wasn't always good stuff. It was just a lot of nightmares, a lot of struggles. So I understand where you guys are coming from that are starting out, because I was there. And that's why I always, with me getting older now, I kind of look at it as like, if I can teach or steer somebody in a certain way away from something, and them not take it the wrong way, then that's a win for me, because I spent a lot of time and a lot of effort figuring it out, right? It didn't come overnight. It just took a long time. So I understand where you're coming from. If you're in that situation now, I understand why you're doing what you're doing, or why you're using the products that you're using. Whether it's because that's all you can afford, or that's just what they told you to use. I understand it, and I know where you're coming from. But back then, around the same age, when I first started getting into this stuff, there was one company, and one company only, that stood out from everybody else um, in the custom paint world. This was back when the only thing that was available was magazines. There was a little bit on the internet, but there wasn't really much. Everything was hearsay. You heard it from somebody, or you went to a show and you were talking to somebody that had it, or just word of mouth pretty much. And that was the top paint line that I was striving to be able to get my hands on, because always using the cheap stuff, I was always intrigued by what other things could actually do for me as far as paint companies. Because if I was using the crappy stuff and I was having a terrible time with it, I automatically thought, like, well, this stuff is more expensive. It's got to be better, right? I'm seeing all this awesome stuff at shows and magazines that it's just, there's got to be something to it. So I need to get my hands on it. And that's what I worked towards for a very long time, until I could save up enough money to get my hands on it. And like I said, I tried everything under the sun, even those weird off-brand companies that do custom paint. If you guys remember, like Alsa Corp, I know they're still around, but I was getting my hands on that stuff because they were pretty cheap back in the day. Had really good luck with it. That was like my little step into like the actual custom paint company world, was that company right there. And then, but the other company that was on top of them was House of Color. And back then, this was the 2005 to 2007 era, kind of. Everybody knew, if you said House of Color and you're in you had a custom car, or you're building one, or you're just a car guy in general, that was the stuff that you wanted on your car. And at the time, I didn't know why. I just thought, to be honest with you, to be really frank, I thought the label looked really, really cool. It was different than everybody else. It was straight and to the point. And it just, to me, it looked really, really cool. The stuff everybody was creating with it was really, really cool. And I just needed to get my hands on it. And it took me a long time to be able to. And that was kind of a goal without realizing it was a goal to me, to get to that point to where I could actually afford to be able to spray something like that, because it wasn't nearly as expensive as it is today. Back then, obviously it was cheaper, but for back in the day, it was pretty expensive. It was, after years of spraying with the cheap stuff and then comparing it to this, it was just way more expensive than what anybody else could afford. So it was just unattainable, right? So this isn't a video trying to change anybody's minds. I don't really care about what your opinions are about it. I'm just going to tell you that from my experience, this is more or less a video about me sharing my experience over the last 22, 23 years of me doing this stuff and using every single paint company you can think of. I have put my hands on, and I've used it for a good amount of time. My experience only. So take that what you will with what I am saying in this video. I am not trying to make them sound better than what they actually are. I'm not trying to bash the other paint companies that that are out there that are doing their thing. To me, I know there's some of us that kind of like push each other's buttons a little bit, and to me it's all in fun. Like, I get it, and I've been reached out to many different companies trying to get me to use their stuff, send me stuff, just so I can use it to get my hands on it, because I know they know once I use it, like, if they're legit. I mean, it's good stuff, right? Like, there is nothing bad to say about anybody, I don't think, that is doing something custom related to the paint world right now. I think I'm one of those people that thinks the more the merrier, right? As long as you're doing it right and you're doing it with the respect and like the knowledge, and you're putting out good information, then have at it. Like, us custom painters, the more colors we can get our hands on, the better. Like, I'm more old school than I am like anything else with this stuff. Like, I really enjoy making my own colors when I do something. I know there's a lot of painters out there that call themselves custom painters, and they want to just grab something off the shelf and spray it. And I get it. Sometimes you don't have the time, the effort, the customer's not paying you to do all that extra stuff, but I really enjoy being able to create my own colors. And most of the stuff that I do, since I do paint full time, and I've been painting full time for a very, 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 very long time, I know what colors can do to each other. I know how to make something a little bit different, but when you look at it, you don't really notice it. It's just subtle. So that's what I enjoy. So if you're out there creating something cool with paint, have at it. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, the more the merrier, like I said. So, and that's why I have this right here. I talk a lot about House of Color. I really do, and I really understand that I do. But I'm telling you right now, this is the reason why I have it. With everything that I just said, from the beginning of the video to this now, is the reason why I use this stuff. Not only can I create any color with this system that I could imagine. There's colors out there I could create that I don't even know about. It's so user friendly. If you understand paint and you do it right and you follow their TDS sheets on how to use this stuff, you will have zero issues being a custom painter. You just won't. And I know there's a lot of people that have their opinions about it, and some of them I could agree with you, because I am an old school. I mean, I wouldn't call me old school because I'm not that old, but I am turning 39 here soon, so I guess I am getting older. But when I say old school, I always think like before the 2000s, like the 90s and the 80s, right? Before I was even painting or even interested in painting. But now that we're getting older, I guess we are becoming a little bit more old school. So times have changed a lot of different stuff. A lot of the products we used to use back in the day have changed. And I understand that. And that's where I agree with a lot of people on stuff about how this particular paint company has changed. And I'm going to say this, that it is it for the better? I don't know. But to me, looking back at it, this is more accessible than it was back in the day. Back in the day, you literally just bought the color you wanted, reducer, clear coat, and you sprayed it. This right now, the way they have this set up with the S2 system, you can create anything. So in some terms, that it's better than what it is or what it was back in the day. I know they've gotten rid of some really popular colors, and I hate that. It sucks. But you can almost recreate these colors with this system. If you understand your color wheel and you follow their directions on their TDS sheets and you do it right, like the stuff works. And that right there is the reason why I use what I use. Because ultimately, I need it to work. Like, I'm not out here just doing my own stuff. I have people paying me hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, to paint something for them. And ultimately, 5-10 years from now, if they still have that, I need that stuff to still be on there looking like I sprayed it yesterday. Like, I need it to work. And that's the number one deciding factor in why I use what I use. Like, I have really good history with this stuff. It's never failed me, ever. And if I can't think of it now and if it has failed me, it's probably because something I did wrong. Like, but I can't even name a time of instance where I had to redo a car because it just wasn't, sticking. Like, there was no adhesion, or there was an issue with color, or whatever it might have been. Like, there was just no instances I can think of that I had issues with this stuff. It just works for me. And that, to me, is worth its weight in gold. Like, it seriously is. And I think a lot of painters, we kind of get, we get in this mindset, like, of just creating, and we forget, like, that is the number one priority that we have to think about is, the stuff holding up for a long time. And I'm in that same boat too. Like, you just don't think about that. You just think about creating all this cool stuff that is eye-catching, but can you take a blowgun to it a year or 2 years from now, and will it actually hold up? Can you, dump something on it and it not just start delaminating or whatever the case may be? Or can you stick it outside and it, that hold up to the sun? Like, those are things that are really, really important. And I know a lot of guys are going to, since I just said that, I know a lot of guys are going to be like, well, they're candies, they fade out in the sun, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, all candies are going to fade if you live in Florida or, somewhere hot like Nevada or Arizona, being another one that gets really stupid hot, and you constantly leave your car outside. Of course, anything's going to eat through it. That's another thing. Like, people think paint's bulletproof, and it's not. It's a chemical liquid. Like, it's not bulletproof. Like, there are things that can happen to it and destroy it, essentially. So if you don't take care of it, then it's not going to last. But as long as I do my part and do the steps that are necessary for that project, I am 100% confident that I can use this stuff and not have any issues with it at all. Zero. Customers are always going to be happy. The colors are always bright and vibrant, and they're always different because I'm constantly making my own colors up with this stuff. That's what this S2 line, if you don't understand the S2 line, the new version, it's not really new, it's been out for a few years, but it's the newest thing to House of Color as far as their paint line. It was designed for custom painters to make their own colors. That's why they did what they did as far as only filling up the quart cans so much so you can add your own effects to it and change it. Like, that's why they designed this system, is to be more user-friendly for the custom painter. And to me, that's what I use it as. Like, I don't ever use stuff and not grab one of my quarts of base and go through my toner or my FXs and my candies up here and contemplate which one I'm going to use. I hardly ever go on their website and be like, well, what does this color take that I'm trying to make? Because you can go on their website and it will tell you exactly what to put in that base to make it that certain color. But I'm hardly ever doing that. I might go in there and look and see what's in there, but I'm constantly changing it up and making it look different. And that's exactly why this system was created. You know, say what you will about it, but I've said it before, and I'm a 100% believer that their candies are probably one of the best, if not the best. I understand there's a lot of paint companies out there that will make and do make some of the certain same candies out there that are different, but they're similar enough that you can tell that's a candy red, or you can tell that's a candy purple or whatever. But it's just different enough to where it's like, okay, that's different. And like I said before, like I'm all for that. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, with the airbrushing that I do and the custom painting I do, I think their candies are probably some of the best. And if you're one of those people that are going to tell me, well, you can get any of those candies anywhere for cheaper, not all of them. There is one. I think there's a couple actually. There might be more than a couple. I haven't been through them yet, but I don't have every single candy. I have the ones that I use. So there's more that I don't have that I probably aren't thinking of. But I think there's a few KK concentrates that House of Color sells and makes that nobody else has made yet. I say yet because they're probably going to look into it after this, but because I'm going to post this video. I know it's going to be kind of long, but I think this is a video that needs to be said and needs to be made, really, because I just think you need to work with something that actually works. Not saying anybody else's stuff doesn't work. I'm just saying, like, to me, that's worth its weight in gold, right? The price is what everybody looks at. Even myself. I will shop around. I don't buy my stuff from the same vendor. I shop around, but I do buy what I need. Like I end up just buying it because I need it. Because like I said, I know it works, so I buy it. But I will shop around to see what kind of deals people are running, because there's always deals out there. So I can't tell you that I'm not one of those people that does look at the price, but I think a lot of people, that's their deciding factor, right? It's like, if it's $200 more, I'm not going to buy it. I'm buy the cheaper stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's good stuff, have at it. Like, I'm not mad at it. I'm just telling you the truth. Like, I think there's a lot of people out there that are so stuck on the money portion of stuff that they forget what I just was talking about. Does it work? Will it hold up? Can you take it to a car show every year and it still look the same every year? And with House of Color, I know that it will, because I've painted stuff from 10 years ago that I've seen and it still looks the same. Whether that sits in a garage or it sits outside, it still looks the same. So that tells me right there that, there is I can't say there isn't, but there is I think there's a wall to this, right? Like, especially being a painter, like we aren't rich people. We buy what we can, right? And what works for us. So I think there's a wall that a paint company can hit, no matter how good you are, that will just turn people off. And, I think PPG is one of them. I think their stuff is way too high, and I know a lot of people, that's their gripe with them. But I will also tell you, I'm one of those guys that have used PPG for a very, very long time. the old stuff and the newer stuff. I've used them both. I grew up with PPG. Um, but I will tell you, their stuff works. And that's why they do what they do as far as prices, because I think they understand that they are like the top ones to go after as far as like competitor wise. And it's one of the paint companies I constantly see people talk about them being so high in price that it's just crazy, but yet people still use them. Why is that? It's because it works. Um, Being in the collision field full time, and if you are in the collision field, you understand where I'm coming from this. We paint a lot of cars. Most of us are in production shops. I used to be in a really, 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 really high production shop. Had for a lot of years. Still kind of am production, but it's not like super high end production as far as like the amount of cars that we do. But as a painter in the collision field, you have to have something that works every time you step into the booth. You know what it's going to do. You know how it's going to hold up after you bake it, after you buff it. You know that it's going to work, and that's what you need. And I think that's why people still use PPG, even though it's the most expensive, outrageous, crazy price it is. Like, it's one of those, I don't even know how to else to explain it. It's just so high in price that people are still buying it because they know it works and they know the result they're going to get from it. And, I agree with the prices. It's getting way too crazy. I wish somehow there was a way to control it without actually not buying it. Like, that's the only way I can think of for these companies to actually like wrap their head around what they're doing to the industry as far as raising prices goes. And that's to not actually buy the product, but you got to get so many people to do that, and I don't think there's a lot of people that are willing not to do that. So that's kind of out of the range right there for trying to change the price industry, because I think a lot of it is what they call inflation. I don't believe that bullcrap. I really honestly don't. I get that gas prices and stuff for shipping and have gone up, and that kind of area of it does need an increase because of the way gas is and all that, fuel and all that stuff. But as far as just inflating the price every year, I think that's bullcrap. And I've heard people say that like PPG's side of it, the reason why they do it every year is because they're not selling as much product as they did before the year before or the years before. So they raise the price a little bit every year to make up for it. I don't know how true that is, but it's kind of logical, but I think it's stupid. I don't believe the inflation thing. I think it's just a load of junk for these corporations and these companies to actually charge us more to make it logical to everybody. I just don't believe. I don't want to partake in that. But a little side rant there. But yeah, like it is what it is. But I'm making this video for a reason. Like, it's not just about why I do what I do or why I use what I use, but I've never been, that I can recall, one of those people that just expects something just because I can do this stuff. Like, I've had conversations with people about it. A big part of me just thinks it's really, really weird that people are just, I don't know whether it's entitlement or what it is, but there are some really good guys in this industry that know what they're doing and they do really phenomenal work, and that's just what they expect. And I can't knock that because that's just the way it's happened. It's the way that they've, it's been brought to them. So, that's all of them. But a big part of me understands, like, like I just said, another big part of me understands why there are guys out there, or girls, or whatever, that do get stuff because of who they are. Like I understand it. Like I just I think there's a bigger part of me that just thinks it's really weird, right? Because I'm really low key. I'm not really in a big town or big city, so I'm not really looked at. I'm not popular. Like I'm one of those regular dudes that just happens to do really good paint jobs. Like that's just what it is. Like there's nothing more, nothing less to it. Um, but I just think a bigger part of me thinks it's just kind of weird to be like, well, what are they doing for you? Because it's been said to me multiple times by a ton of people. Why are you using that? Because they haven't done anything for you. It's like, guys, like, I'm not in this to get free stuff. Like, I'm just not. Like, I enjoy the painting aspect of what I do. That's just it. Like, I enjoy creating, getting my airbrush out and just creating a picture or a mural or, graphics. I just enjoy it. Like, that's just, I can't dumb it down for any more than what that is. Like, I just enjoy it. Like, I don't do it for really. I mean, I do it a little bit for the money. Like, it's not really any. I'm not busy enough because I do paint full time that I do it for the money. More or less, like I help people out on the money side of it by not charging so much labor because I want to do cool stuff, right? Like the more cool stuff I can do, that's just the more happy I am, I guess. And it's not easy. Like I'm not trying to make it sound easy or anything. Like it's really, really hard work. Like I spend a lot of hours, a lot of time away from my family, and just plugging away on stuff, as many of us do. Like that's just the nature of the beast of this custom painting world. Like if you want to create something really cool, you're going to spend a lot of time on it. But the thing I can control is like my labor rates and stuff like that. So I've got them lowered so much that anybody can almost afford it, right? Whether whether no matter what prices are of materials, it is what it is. Like I can't change the prices on the materials. So as long as you're able to pay for materials, you're definitely going to be able to pay for my labor because it's just so low that I'm really not trying to get rich off of it. I just enjoy creating new stuff, and that's just what it is. Like there's nothing more, nothing less to it. I'm not trying to get free stuff just because I think I'm some hot shot. And that's where one thing I think it's weird is like people think they're so big, like their egos are so big that companies should just give them stuff just to give them stuff. I just don't agree with it. And some guys, they are just that good. Like I can't deny it. Like some guys are just that good that they should be getting free stuff, but I'm not going to push anybody to give me anything. You know, when it happens or if it happens, it does. It does. That's just whatever. Like to me, if I'm being honest, like I would rather somebody come to me and be like, hey, like I want to give you some stuff without me even saying a word. I'm just over here plugging away, creating what I'm doing, posting it I don't post everything, but post what do I want, when I want, and somebody recognizes it and they're like, hey, like, to me it shows that they obviously see me, but they actually, as a person who reached out to me, they themselves respect what I'm doing and they want to give back a little bit. And that is a different kind of mindset to it. Because what? Sorry, had a wife walked in, so I had to pause it. But when somebody does that, just out of willingness, that means like they actually care. They want to actually do what they're doing. Like there was no pressure. There was no, me asking for it. It's just, it happened naturally. And that's kind of how I've always been. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it because I want to do it, not because somebody asked me to do it. So, with all that being said, I know this video is getting really, really long, but I really, really appreciate what's been given to me. Reed, you're the man. Like, I did not expect this. I did not, I just thought you were going to give me a couple little things, but like, I don't even know if I want to show it all, but you really helped me out a bunch, and I appreciate that. It's kind of overwhelming, but I really, really appreciate it. Like, never really been given anything, especially to this amount. So for you to go and do that, it's really, really cool. So I really, really appreciate it, and appreciate anybody else who had a put in it. Like, there was somebody else that helped along the way to do it. I appreciate them too. But yeah, I don't even know if I want to show it, but it was really, really cool. Like, it really surprised me, because like I said, I thought it was just going to be a couple little things the way we were talking, but I know I'm doing some things for the upcoming show that you're going to be at. So, trying to get a couple things new and fresh for you so I can send those out to you. But definitely going to send you some stuff for that show. And I really, really appreciate it, man. Like, it's more than what I can say. Like, it's overwhelming. I'm really thankful for what you've done with sending me this stuff. So I think I'm just gonna kind of skim over it, because I did open a little bit of it. I haven't gone through all of it, so I don't even know what's all in there. But it's quite a bit of stuff. So it's a whole skid. Yeah, got some KD, some good old primer sealer. You got some trans neb. This is stuff I'm really, really excited for, man. Like, the candy black, I always make my own candy black, so I'm really excited to try that. And these new black red FXs that you guys made for chameleon colors. This is a green and purple, which is really cool. I think that would be really popular. So I'm really, really excited to try a lot of this stuff, man. I really, really appreciate it. Red and gold, man, that's going to be really popular too. Let's see what we got in here. So all the hardeners and stuff for everything. Yep, hardeners for the clear. Hardener for the primer sealer KD system that I love. I always talk about that. This system is probably the best system I've used as far as primer and sealer in one. It's just, it goes on so smooth and it sands like butter. It's the greatest. Got some clear. I'm guessing this is the reducer. Yep, got some reducers. So I really, really appreciate it, man. Like, I don't know what to say. Honestly, I appreciate it. I thank you very, 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 very much. I know you're on vacation, so if you see this, you see this. But thank you guys very, very much. And everybody have a good weekend.